the employment challenge, particularly the youth employment. Number 5, what we call inclusive growth, not leaving anyone behind. When we looked at sectors that we need that give us the biggest bang for buck, which ones can get us on that road as quickly, what was mentioned as quick wins or early harvest, or whatever you want to call it. Dairy comes out as number 1. It does all those things. And it can do them very quickly. Yeah? Why? So he said, we are looking for the biggest bang for buck. What gives us the highest impact with the shortest time, with the least amount of investment to hit those 5 things? Cost of living, revenue, foreign exchange, jobs, inclusive growth, which means leaving nobody behind. Dairy ticks, each one of them. Why? Because we have 5 million daily cows. We're the biggest milk producers in Africa, but the average productivity is only 3 liters per cow. So we have the animals. We know from experience that if you feed a cow better, there's no cow whose potential is 3 liters. A bit of zebus, a few of them, but not the cows we call dairy. So if you feed your cow properly, it will give you 1 extra kilo. If it is unhealthy, it will lose 2. Everybody who knows about dairy knows cow is sick, how much you lose. And thirdly, if you have better breed of cow, you can get, there's some cows with potential for 5, for 10, up to 40. So we identified 3 prior interventions to unlock the dairy sector to do all those things. Number 1, nutrition. If our cows, if we double the food, we get double the milk. The reason why we are not feeding our cattle, because of cost and also supply. The cost of feed is expensive. Number 2, husbandry. That speaks to animal health. Animals shouldn't be getting sick, but even when they get sick, drugs shouldn't be so expensive, and vets should be available. Number 3, if you have a cow whose potential is 5 liters, you do AI with a better breed now, in 3 years, you will have a cow whose potential is 15 or probably 20 liters. So we can see a very, very steep runway for the dairy sector. If we agree that we can double our milk production, if we export half of that milk, from 5 billion liters to 10 billion liters, export 2.5 at the current global price of about 40 US cents per kg if you take powder. If you do that math quickly, it will give you over $1 billion. That is how much we earn from tea or flowers. So an industry which is almost 100 years old, tea, we have grown it to $1 billion a year. We can get dairy to the same point within 3 to 5 years. There is no other sector which offers such incredible opportunity to do those 5 things. And I think the people in this room, if we are thinking about particularly the export industry, obviously the route to market is brands. Yeah? I shared an office 30 years ago with a gentleman who was working for the World Bank, but 10 years before, he had been corporate planning director for KCC. And he told me something I don't think many of us know. In the late 70s, KCC was planning to put a bid for Nestle, because KCC was bigger in milk export than Nestle. So they had gotten financiers who were willing to finance KCC to buy Nestle's milk export business. Then things went this way and that way. So we've been there. Our brands are known out there. We have the infrastructure. We have the capability. We have the farmers. What we need to do is just put all those pieces together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, Your Excellency, I'll call Ms. Margaret Kibogi, the Managing Director of our Kenya Dairy Board, to give a very brief overview of our dairy subsector. Karibu, MD.
Your Excellency, sir, the Governor of Nakuru County, the CSS present, PSS present, Chairman, Kenya Dairy Board, the processors present. I'm only going to give statistics of the dairy sector, starting with the value. The estimated value of the industry is 266.7 billion. I think higher than tea, than coffee, and the other sectors. So, David D., you're very right that this sector is very, very important. In terms of what we produce, 5.2 billion liters, you're all aware. 45% we consume at home of that milk, which is about 2.3 billion liters. That's why we are high per capita consumers of milk in Africa. Kenyans consume a lot of milk. 55% of this is traded informally through the mini dairies, the dispensers, sold by milk traders, and out of that, 30% is handled by the processors here present today. We'd like to transform that sector to move as one of the targets of the sector to formalize this sector because it has a lot of benefits. We have, as a country, 40 processors. Today, we have 38 present here. Mini cottages, which we are supporting, we have about 200. We have 100 which are dispensers, and the milk bars, we have 1,000. These are supporting our small-scale farmers who are in different parts of the country. In terms of contributions, which you know directly in terms of employment, and indirectly and directly, we do about over 1 million. In terms of cost of milk production, the variable and direct cost is about 47, and on D, you have mentioned this. The highest contributor of this is processed feed at 13.5, followed by fodder at 7, fodder and feed 13 and 7.8, which is the highest contributor in terms of cost. We must actually intervene in those areas of processed. We also have issues of AI. Currently, sex semen, we get it in the market at 7,000, which is very high. It contributes about 10 shillings per liter. That is drugs, veterinary drugs, and artificial insemination. And we also have labor. Labor is still an issue, but we have interventions through the development areas of the sector. In terms of processing, that was at farm level. Processing, of course, the highest contributor is the farm gate pricing, which is about 55.5%, contributing to 55. The margin for the processors here present is about 5 shillings and 0.13. In terms of the cooling infrastructure, we have a total of 436 active coolers across the country that install capacity of 3.98 million liters daily. The utilization is slightly over 55%, but we want to rally our farmers to move there. In terms of formal intake, it has been growing, but because of seasonality of our sector, 1 year it has grown, the other year it has dropped. Last year, we dropped by a negative 0.6 compared to 2021, where we had processed over 800 million liters. In terms of installed capacity of our processors, we're at 5.2 daily installed capacity, 80% processing fresh milk, that is UHT. They're doing UHT 35 million liters daily, and they're doing 33 in terms of pasteurized. The rest goes to value-added cheeses, butter, and the high-valued products. So this is a liquid market. We want to grow into high-value products, that's the yogurts, the cheeses. We're still importing a bit of cheese because the demand for cheese is growing up because of our youth. In terms of producer prices, it has been consistently going up. Currently, we are at an average of 48.7, slightly dropped from 50 shillings, that is the farm gate price. And in terms of consumer pricing, it has been very, very consistent. It has not grown compared to the farm gate pricing. We are currently at an average of 112 per litre of pasteurized milk. When you compare 2016, we were at 107. So the growth there has been managed by these processors. In terms of value, it has been going up because of the cost of the formerly marketed products. Export, we had a huge jump from 1.5 kgs to 18 million kgs last year. This is because of the conversation we had as a sector, and we started penetration because we want to achieve the 1 billion exports. And one of the areas that we're looking at is EAC, the market that has actually grown. The 18 million kgs that we have exported is UHT, cheeses, yogurt and flavored milk to Southern Sudan, Somalia. It is a growing sector that we are going to ensure that we build and even double this year, considering doubling the export market. In terms of competitiveness of our sector, this is an area that will require a lot of intervention. Globally, WMP, which is whole milk powder, that is highly traded globally, ours is the highest at 67.8%. Globally, 1 kg of milk powder is 441.6, while in Kenya, it is 740. We have to do some intervention to lower it so that we can compete globally, and it is very, very possible because we have identified areas of the cost. Basically, it is on feed. In terms of imports, within EAC, we are members of East African Protocol, and basically, most of the milk that comes to this country is from Uganda. We imported last year 71 million liters and 15 million kgs of whole milk powder. The 15 million whole milk powder is actually used for processing high-value products in EPZ for export to the UN agencies. But majority of our processors here are able to absorb and get from the two processors. We only have two processors who are able to produce milk powder. That is New KCC and Brookside. Those are the only processors out of the 40 who are able to do milk powder. That is it, Your Excellency, in terms of the statistics of the dairy industry. The processors will be able to give the interventions, and we are expecting an increase of milk in the market because of El Nino, and our request is to be allocated funds to be able to mop up the excess milk that we project to have a surplus of about 38 million liters for 3 months. This is only to the formal sector. So that's our request, Your Excellency, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Margaret. Now I'll invite the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, the Honorable Mithika Linturi, to make his remarks. Karibu Waziri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Governor Nakuru, my colleague ministers, PSs, the members of Parliament around, and the great men that are with us here. Mine is very brief. Your Excellency, if you allow me, with a lot of respect and humility, let me thank you profusely for the support that you've continued to give our ministry and the farmers of this country at large, to the extent that now our farmers are able to really feel and realize the difference between the current administration and the other one. Number two, Your Excellency, I know that your agenda in increasing production and productivity is so key towards opening up or growing the economy of this country. And one of the areas that you've really identified is the dairy sector. And I want to mention that it is easy for us to succeed in that particular area, and the men and women that are here who are serious players and stakeholders in this dairy value chain are so key towards making this agenda or dream come to reality. Your Excellency, the farmers of this country, from what we've been able to share, or been able to hear from a number of people of that capacity and potential, what we only need and require is that continuing support so that the cost of production of milk per litre is realized. And we are happy that you've gone miles in ensuring that that cost is brought down, because you've extended even duty waivers for on the yellow maize and other inputs and other products that are required for animal feed production. The ministry's agenda in trying to commercialize and grow fonder will also be in a position to be able to bring the cost of production the cost of production per litre per milk. And I think if we were to get there, it wouldn't really matter how much or what price the milk will be going for, but will be about what margin people make after that sale of milk. So, Your Excellency, we want to thank you, and I want to mention again that our farmers are ready to work day and night to increase productivity and production of our milk, so that these gentlemen can really hand value to that milk, and then we can be able to satisfy our local demand and also be able to export and earn the foreign exchange that we highly require. So with those few remarks, Your Excellency, it's my honor and pleasure to invite you to address this gathering.
Thank you very much. Let's take our seats. I understand full well that the processors are largely private sector players, cooperatives, and to a very small extent, some that have a public interest. And I think David Ndii has told you what our plan is. We have identified this dairy sector as a very important sector for a couple of reasons. We believe that this sector is a sector that has the highest potential to turn around in a shorter time. Others are important. We need a bit more time. But this is an area where we have already what we can say both comparative and competitive advantage. We are already among the largest milk producers in the continent. Maybe the third, maybe the second, maybe the first. Sometimes it keeps swinging. Others overtake us once in a while. So we are among the best countries that produce milk in this continent. And it is because we already have livestock, and we have farmers, and we have, to an extent, some good measure of technical know-how and management capacity. We just need to see how we can build, the partnership and working together to elevate the productivity of our herd and increase the production of our country. It is valuable to us as a nation because it is the place where we can easily increase the incomes of many farmers and many Kenyans. As has been said, the same cows we have today that are producing 2, 3, 4, 5, we can double. The same herd, same farmer, same place, we can double the production just by making a couple of interventions. And we want to listen to some of the ideas you have, because we also are focused on this sector, and we have interventions that we want to put in place. We believe this is also a sector that can not only generate more incomes for Kenyans, it can also create significant levels of employment. We have so many young people that as government, we believe we should find opportunities for them to work. And dairy sector is one such sector, especially the whole value chain from production all the way to the market. It is also important to us, as was said by the Director of Dairy Board, that this is an area that can earn us foreign exchange. We all know that our GDP, export GDP as a percentage of our overall GDP has been going down. From, I think, 30% a while ago, we are now around 10%. And one of the areas that we can use to increase our exports is this dairy sector. And that is why it is very important for us to have this conversation. We are going to have conversations with other sectors and other stakeholders in this space. And because you are the primary people, you are ultimately the people who process our milk, it is important for us to engage you. And just to mention a couple of areas that we are doing as government. Number one, we are investing in the infrastructure for good semen, for purposes of getting good breeds that are both good for milk production and meat production. We are investing some resources in Kagrik. We are investing some resources in Kefefabi. And this year, we also changed the tax structure to support local animal vaccine production so that we can encourage more people to produce the vaccines that we use to manage the diseases around our livestock locally, that we produce them locally. Number two, we are focused also on the milk cold chain, because part of the challenge we've had is perishability of milk. And the longer milk takes to get to a cold chain facility, the lower the quality. And therefore, to manage quality, we are rolling out, I think it has been said here, we have 400 and how many? 460 milk coolers. Of those 460 milk coolers, 350 are actually public, which we acquired as government. We are again in the process of investing another 8 billion shillings to get another 650 milk coolers that will be distributed around the country. We want to agree with you on how can we derive the highest value from this investment, because it is going a long way in improving the quality of milk and the amount of milk that gets to your processors and gets to the market when it is good quality and when it is in a state that we can use not only to produce the other value-added products. And the better the quality of milk that get to the processors, the greater the opportunity for us to have high-end, value-added products that today, as has been said, we are even importing some of those products like cheese and others. And the greater it is, the possibility for us to tap into the huge export market that is available for our products, and so that we can also enhance our revenue. So at the heart of this conversation is quality of milk. What is it that we are going to do to make sure that we get the right quality of milk, we get the right quantity of milk, and that is why feed is also going to be another conversation that we are going to have. Already, we are working with some private sector players to see whether we can bulk the production of silage, hay, and other products so that we can make them affordable to many of our farmers, to increase their productivity, and so that we can make this whole industry sustainable, profitable, but we also use it to drive our revenues, both local and from exports. So this is the conversation I want us to have. What I was asking my team is that as we make all these interventions, we are investing in AI facility, we're investing in vaccine facility, we're investing in cold room facility, we are investing in supporting farmers, and everything that we are doing, what are the other stakeholders doing? What are the processors doing to support this whole endeavor? More specifically, how do we reorient the focus of processors away from just focusing on the consumer and where they sell, but also give due attention to the farmers who produce? Because without the farmers, this whole chain doesn't go very far. We are all aware that the farmers believe they are getting the short end of the stick. But we need to interrogate that. Is it the feed? Is it the productivity? Is it the quality? And how do we work together, government and private sector, to improve the productivity of our farmers, to improve the quality of the milk they are producing, and therefore be able to pay them better prices if everybody is getting a fair return? So this is the conversation that I thought we should have. And then secondly, I also want us to have a conversation about milk glut. We are all expecting El Nino. If the rain this afternoon is anything to go by, I don't know whether that's a sign of El Nino or just rain. And how do we manage this glut? And how do we use the capacities that we have, whether it is in production of powder milk or whatever other products that we think the excess milk can be used for? How do we make sure that that happens? Creating harmony in the industry and removing too much fluctuation within the industry and the milk prices. We are ready to work with you, either using the facilities, I don't know, commodity fund or whatever other fund that we have, to on-lend to the processors so that you can have money to be able to buy the excess milk. But we must also, you must also explain to me, because this is public money, how you're going to return that money when you sell the products. Because in the past, we've given milk, we've given money for to manage the glut, but that money never came back. I don't know what happens to the what happens to the money after you sell the products you have. So we need to agree. You know, I am willing, I'm ready to provide money and resources for you to manage the glut, but we need to agree how that money becomes or gets back to the people's coffers so that we can make it available the next time we have another situation. So I was told that there are people here who want to speak to these issues, and I am ready to listen. So maybe somebody can come and manage the rest of the people who want to speak. Mweke, asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. We have Mr. Kenneth Gitonga, who is the CEO of the Meru Central Dairy Cooperative, who will just mention a few things on behalf of the processors. Karibu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, the Governor of Nakuru, Cabinet members present, senior government officers, all protocols observed, good evening. Yeah, thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to say we are very, very grateful, His Excellency, for inviting us. My name is Kenneth Gitonga. I'm the CEO of Meru Dairy Union. This is the first time we have been called by a sitting end of state to listen to us. And we are very happy as processors because it's a momentum we have never gotten. Number two, I want to thank you, His Excellency, and you are right. Dairy can change this country very quickly. For taking time even to visit some of us, you came to Meru, you went to Githunguri, you went to KCC, and you have called us. And we hope you are going also to visit the others to get the real picture on the ground. And we are sure this dream is going to come true, and you can count on our support. When we got this invitation, we met on Monday as processors, just to prepare ourselves on how to engage on this meeting. And we came up with a few points which we wanted to bring to your attention so that you can look at them and see how they fit in. Now, there's a common belief there that the farmers are getting a raw deal, or the processors are having the money, and the processors are feeling that they're not getting enough, or they're not getting money enough to cover their investments. So it's a cheese, everyone believes blaming the other one. And we thought, we looked at it from the top to the last point. We have 5 points which we agreed on. And I think my colleagues will agree with me and also maybe support or agree. Now, number one is at the farm level. We looked at our farmers. We are paying our farmers 50 shillings. Currently, the average is 48 according to the MD, but they're still complaining. And then we're asking ourselves, how much should we pay so that they can be happy? After engaging and consulting and looking all over the world, we are seeing there's an issue on the costs, not actually the price, but the cost of production at the farm level. That is the main source of all these issues, because when the farmer produces at a cost almost over 50 shillings, we start already at a very high note, and down the value chain, we are not likely to compete out there. His Excellency, it is possible, and you have done research, to produce milk in this country at below 30 shillings. And if we can do production at below 30 shillings, there will be money for everyone. The farmer will get the money, the processor will get money, the government will get taxes, and all of us will be happy. And we will beat everybody in the world market. So we need to ask ourselves, what is this we need to do at the farm level? We have come with 2 suggestions. Number one, this farmer of ours producing 3 liters should be encouraged, number one, to increase the production per cow, and number 2, to increase the number of cows. If we just increase the numbers and the volumes, we are sorted. How do we achieve this? Production only requires land and water, and that's all, which we have. So if the government can support and encourage people who want to produce for export and for business, by even availing government land or other land, wherever we have, we can sort this problem at the source. And once we get it right at the farm level, the farmer maybe produces at 30 shillings, he makes his profit of 10 shillings, and maybe he gives us at 40 or whatever figure. We can go out there and compete and beat others. We are only surviving because of the protection the government is giving us of taxation of imports in this country. If you are to open the doors, there will be no sector today. For it to become sustainable, the cost of production to us, we felt, is a main issue to deal with. Number two, we looked at the processors. Processors is costing us about that 4 to 40 shillings to process a liter of milk. 17 shillings or 17% of it is going to packaging material. This is because all packaging material is being imported in this country, and plus the levies and the dollar, everything, 17 shillings is already gone. So it's like we use around 14 shillings or so. But if you want 50 shillings, because you can give the farmer 50 shillings, there will be transportation, there will be cooling. The milk comes to the factory at around 55 to 60 shillings, depending on where you are. So if you put in that 4, you're already at almost 90. And when it's already at 90, remember, we don't go to the shops. We have to use the wholesalers. We have to use the retailers. And then we make 5 shillings or less. Most of us, we are oscillating between 8 and 3. That's where all of us are. So the question is, how do we sort all this? We start very properly at the farm, and then we come up. Now, when you look at the export, the pounder produced in Kenya with the milk at our costs is costing at 760 shillings per kg, when the one is doing 400. In Uganda, it is 560. So already we are beaten before we even start moving. And unless we sort it out properly down here, then this export thing we are thinking about is going to give us a challenge moving forward. We're also looking at what is happening at the county level. Some of the counties are allocating very little budgets to agriculture or to livestock. I don't know what you can do, Your Excellency, to persuade, and I'm happy the governor is here, to allocate us some more resources on production and trying to see how we support this model, because agriculture is devolved, and that is where this game is being played. We also looked at the consumption. 2013 consumption was about 112 liters per person. Currently, it is at 78. Consumption is coming down. And we were very worried because the neighbors here, Uganda and Tanzania, they don't drink milk. But Kenyans will drink milk. So we would wish you to support us to persuade or to bring back the feeding program where milk is part of the project, because milk is full meal. And before we even think about moving out, a lot of people want to import here. But we can serve ourselves before we move out there and serve other people. So those 5 points is some of the areas we are feeling. If properly addressed, they can really help us to move this industry forward. And this industry will become automatically sustainable. We will go there, fight for our space, and things are going to be okay. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
When we removed duty on yellow maize,
yes,
we didn't see a significant reduction on the cost of feed. Maybe they will explain to us whatever it is. But as processors, have you thought of how do you support farmers? Because these are your producers. How are you supporting them towards this trajectory of reducing the cost of feed? Is there something processors can also do to support the farmers to produce at a lower cost?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Actually, the main issue on feed is fodder, not actually the concentrates. And that's why I said land is very key in this, because if a professional or professionals are given land, it is very easy to plant fodder. And with the fodder, already 70% of the game is done. Then concentrates top up the game. So it is, we have been discussing among ourselves, and even we have been asking ourselves, what can we do to have these guys who want to go commercial on production? Because for sure, with one cow, breaking even is very difficult. Even if we pay 70 or 100, it may not work out. But if you have somebody who is willing to do 10 cows, 100 cows, 1,000 cows, would you even be willing to sign contracts of taking all this milk? so that we support and they are assured there is really market for the business. So we have been engaging. I remember we were also called by the PS, and it was the same question, because during the dry spell, there is no milk, we struggle, we fight among ourselves. When we are going to the peak, like now, the El Nino, nobody wants to go at that high place, and somehow we behave like we are not professionals. We would like to have it organized and then smooth, and would be more than willing to offtake the milk and make sure that the farmer makes his money.
So, as we put the milk infrastructure,
Yes, sir.
it's possible as part of making sure that somebody invests. When
Yes.
somebody invests only when they are sure
Yes,
that there will be an off-taker
true, sir.
and the price is already agreed.
True.
At the moment, it is the processor who decides. And just by stroke of a pen, they say, from next week, we are paying 45. And there is nobody to ask the processor. So where does that leave all the investment we have made? So are you saying that the processors are willing to step up and sign a contract?
Yes, I can say.
So that when the farmers or whoever invests,
Yes, sir.
they know they have a price for a whole year,
Yes,
at
sir.
the very least,
Yes.
or for an agreed number of length of time for them to make the necessary investment.
I am saying that, sir, and I know there are some of us are doing, like biofunds. I know they contract farmers, and we are under discussion with even with the LATO and most of us, and we are more than willing to do that. So long as we are able now to see clearly. You see, the investor only wants to be sure that his investment is going to give return, whether at the farm level or the processor. So if you look at it as a whole complete chain, then there will be space for everyone. And the most important thing is the margin. Once everybody has his own margin, the prices are not relevant anymore. And I think we are more than willing to do that, sir.
So finally,
Yes, sir.
no, second before final.
Yes.
The contracting addresses price,
Yes, sir.
but we are still saddled with the challenge of cost of production at the bottom of the pyramid. You know, you can never have enough public land
Yes.
to give to everybody.
Yes.
As processors,
Yes, sir.
have you thought of, because you're concerned about farmers, have you thought of how do you support the farmers that bring milk to you?
Yes, sir.
How do you support them with feed, either negotiating for them? Because it's difficult for a farmer, individual farmer, with even if you have 100 cows.
Yes, sir.
It's difficult for an individual farmer to negotiate
Yes, sir.
for any meaningful supply of affordable feed. Is it a possibility that processors can also work with farmers and finding the people or companies that can support the low-cost feed so that we can reduce the cost of production? Is it something that you think we can structure? We can bring government on board, but we must also bring processors on board to see how do we have a public and private partnership in terms of producing high quality but affordable feed. Is it something that you have exercised your mind, or is it something that you're willing to consider?
His Excellency, I would say it's something we are willing. In fact, we are willing to invest. Like for us in Meru, we are already constructing a feed mill because we believe without supporting the farmer, we are not in business. The only fear processors have, and this is which you have already responded when you spoke, is what happens when they have a lot of milk and then the market is not absorbing. That is the fear of processing in this room, because the farmers will come for the money at the end of the month. You have your milk here and you're struggling with it. So if there was a way to make sure that if I take all the milk, somehow the government would support me so that I'm not stuck. Then the best assurance we can give the farmers is first to take all the milk. And then number two, we give incentives. In fact, most of us even have, we have set some budget assigned to support farmers. Like in Meru, we are doing AI, we are doing, actually we negotiate fees on their behalf, and we do training, we have vet doctors even to support the government. We are doing a lot, and we are waiting to even give some budget to that. The only fear is how do we close the game in case there's more milk. Like now, if the Romino, what is disturbing us is if my milk doubles, yes, I can process, but how can I offroad to receive this money? But with a good plan, I can promise you, if the government gives us the money, we are going to refund the money and make sure that the farmers are happy, sir.
Okay. If you guarantee me that you will buy the milk,
yes, sir.
You'll process the milk,
yes,
you will, I'm saying the excess milk,
yes, sir,
and you will finally
refund the money,
offload whatever
yes.
it is, and
yes.
pay me back my money,
yes, sir.
then we have a deal.
I want to agree. And can the processor stand if you want to confirm to the president we're going to do that, so that I'm not alone? His Excellency, we are going to do exactly that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We will work out a formula.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so that whoever we give that, they must first demonstrate to us they went to use the money to pay farmers.
Yes.
They did not use the money to go and do other things.
True, sir.
And that they will sort us out. Now, the other thing that I finally want to ask from you is
yes,
the costs around processing.
Yes.
They look, to me, you seem to be running a very inefficient system, because if just 2 items already cost 34 shillings, so did you say 30 what?
I said that
34. That is packaging.
Packaging
17
material,
shillings?
17.
Yes.
Yes. So the others is electricity and other wash cleaning chemicals.
So on this subject of packaging material, because I had the same conversation with our tea people.
Yes, sir.
This packaging material, why is it that expensive? And why do we have to import? Isn't it something that we can manufacture locally? And isn't it something that, what is the issue?
Currently, all packaging material are important, and there is duty, there is the dollar issue, and that's why it is like that. I think that's something we can look at the numbers and then we see. But I don't think we don't have a factory here doing packaging. They import, what they do is maybe putting the logos and printing, but everything comes from out. But maybe the government can look at, see how it can help us, sort us there, and then we leave some money for the farmers and also for other use.
Because you are people in that industry.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any suggestions to us? You know, is it an area where we can provide some incentives for companies to set up here, produce locally? You know?
Yes, sir.
Because you are the people in that space.
Yes, sir.
And we can create a fiscal, fiscally supportive environment for us to have, because if all the processors are importing.
Yes, sir.
And if we can produce it locally.
True, sir.
You should be able to give us ideas and tell us, look, we have this company who we are buying from. And they need 1, 2, 3, 4 to set up locally so that we can buy locally, create jobs locally, and also not drain our foreign exchange reserves importing from somewhere else. That is something I think you working with the ministry should figure out.
Yes, sir.
I think PS Mweke is sitting here and Waziri is sitting here.
Yes, sir.
What is it that we can do in that space?
True.
At the very worst, even if we don't reduce the cost from 17 shillings, we should at least get some jobs by it being manufactured in Kenya.
True, sir.
And maybe from those people, they can pay as you earn, housing levy and others.
True, sir. True, sir. True, sir. True, sir. True. It is perfect, actually, on spot on. It is one of the great ideas we can do as a country, because it will sort us two funds, raw material and the other benefits which you have already highlighted. And those manufacturers are waiting. I've spoken to two, and they are waiting, but we need to look at our levies and the incentives we give them.
David, can you pick that up with them? Let us, we can engage the people who are willing to invest locally and see how we can take it forward. Yeah? And,
thank you, sir.
Susan here says she will give land for free.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think those are the 4 items. Explain to me why you're saying powder is 716, the one we produce, and it's 400 globally.
It is 760 because of this expensive milk which we start off. In Uganda, milk is 22 shillings as we speak. Here now it is 50. So even when you go on and pack, you still have the same disparity. So that's why we are saying there's an issue at the source which we have to fix. Once we fix that, even powder will come to the international, and we are going to export, and it will not require any protection, sir.
We have so much milk. Accommodate me to answer all this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's why I came. We have so much milk in the other market.
Yes, sir.
That is not processed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And quite a bit of it goes to waste. And we could get much more revenue if we got that milk and used it to produce value-added products, yogurt and the rest of them, cheese and blah, blah.
Yes.
But there is a problem of quality. Do you, as the industry, think quality is a problem? Do you think the payment structure should continue to be in terms of quantity, or do you think we should up it to also to be about the quality of milk? And is there anything processors can do to make sure that we have good quality milk into our system that gives us more opportunity to have value-added products?
Thank you, sir. Quality is a key item to us, and for sure we are looking for it from right, left, center. But as a processor who has very many farmers, especially in Meru, I have 110,000 farmers who bring milk to me. My major issue is this farmer of 2 liters, because he has already a problem of production. So before he even understands the mathematics and the quality, you have to struggle with them. And that's what will be sorted by bringing on board now the commercial producers on the science of the small scale ones. Because somebody is not a professional, you're trying just to engage. Maybe he's a teacher elsewhere, he comes to deal with the cow in the evening or during weekends. So even looking for him to have a sit down to discuss quality is always a struggle. Number 2, as you move from home to home, picking 2 liters, quality becomes compromised. Vis-a-vis a situation where we could have several animals together and then they are producing and milk is going to the tank. In Meru, what we are trying to do to sort this issue, we have an idea we are trying to bring up, which is called communal grazing, the way the Maasais do, whereby we can tell these farmers, bring these cows together, let them not disturb you and produce 2 liters. Bring them to me, I'll employ a vet, give me your land, we plant, and then this cow produces 30 liters, I'll take 2 or 3 liters for management, and then you also profit. So there's something we are calling school cow bonding, they are calling it bonding in Meru. But it's a way of trying to sort out the numbers, bringing the numbers together, and then producing as a team. Because the current societies we have, we only deliver milk. We are feeling we can have societies at the farm level, whereby you bring a cow, just the way you take your money to a circle, now you bring a cow. and then we sort it together with other cows, and then you get your share at the end of the month. And that way we can bring the cost down, we can deal with the quality, and then you go to this export market we are talking about.
Using the infrastructure that we are trying to put in place, and I hope the rest of the industry is listening.
Yes, sir.
Using the infrastructure, we are going to be distributing in the next 6 months or so, different intervals, maybe from January.
Yes, sir.
For the next 6 months, we will be, we've agreed with the county governments that at least in every ward, and then slowly we will go down, we will have maybe 2, 3 in the high milk producing areas, milk cooler. Would you consider, as processors, adopting these coolers and assisting the farmers at that level, at that level, to manage the quality of the milk they produce? You have, so that the same way it is done with tea, at every buying center, if you bring tea that is not 2 leaf and a bud, you are told, go sort it out.
Yeah, go sort out and then
And
come
then it is sold together with the rest.
Yes, sir.
And if a farmer comes with milk that has a certain bacteria content beyond what is, or is adulterated in some way, how are processors going to assist the farmers at that lower level? Are you willing to partner with us so that we can manage milk at the milk cooling facility, starting from there, so that we can improve on the quality?
Your
And
Excellency,
if you have milk that is of a higher quality, that gives you a better opportunity to have value-added products, that may mitigate the 50 shillings you're paying by making sure that you can sell the final products for a much more premium price. Or what? I mean, we need to look at this from all different angles. And then maybe answer that first.
thank you, sir. Let me say, we are not even willing to only own, adopt, but we're even willing to buy more. Like tomorrow, we are launching one with the governor in Meru, whereby the county bought a cool of 20,000. We did the construction, and we are owning it. Immediately it is launched, we are going to put milk, and that's all. The only challenge you have had before is where, and sorry, my colleagues in the politics, because the MPs and the leaders, and an issue with the location, where they want it put, and where as a businessman now, we want it put, are not ending up. So that's why we're having some coolers which are indoor, yet I'm picking warm milk. I can't use it because it's not helping me in terms of logistic and the cost involved. So if you involve the processors, sir, to locate the coolers, I can guarantee you 100% usage of the coolers. Yes, sir.
So I think, Waziri, you are hearing what they are saying. And so in the next rollout, let us bring the processors on board so that we locate where it makes the most commercial sense to everybody, including the farmers. And I think we should involve the farmers also in that exercise, so that we find the best, the most suitable location for locating these facilities. There was one final question I wanted to know, and I hope my people here are taking notes so that we can go back and synthesize what we are saying. I know you have said that you are willing to partner with us.
Yes, sir.
But as you can see, we are the ones investing in your business.
True, sir.
You know, we are investing in your business. All these cold chain facility, we have no processor ourselves. It's you who have the processors. This should actually be your investment. You should be the ones investing in the whole chain, but we are supporting.
True, sir.
So what is your contribution? Because
But we are also you, sir. We are also your children. We are part of this country, and the work we are doing, we are supporting in many ways. We are employing people. We are paying taxes, PS1, all those, just to make sure that this country of ours is moving forward the way you are just pushing.
all right,
I'm very happy.
the latter gentleman. Thank you very much for your candid answers.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and all protocols observed. I just wanted to share with you a story, Your Excellency. So I represent LATO, and we are the first company, I'm Kenyan, and we are currently, Yeah, so Your Excellency, we are currently present in 15 countries exporting from Uganda, and we've also now invested in Kenya. So we just wanted to share you the journey of how we made it successful in Uganda and how we can also make it successful in Kenya, right? So you touched on the right points about how do we help the farmers, the small-scale farmers. Some of the things that we've been doing is the biggest issue that the farmer has is money. A lot of training can be done for the farmers. They all know what needs to be done. They need to feed the cow. They need feed. They know that the weather is very predictable, but nobody's storing silage for the dry weather. So when it comes to smallholder farmers, the thing that we need to do the most is actually how do we provide affordable finance to the farmers at realistic interest rates so that they can invest for silage and for the cows to manage the seasonality, which is the biggest issue on the farms. The second issue that we work with farms is now we've started growing maize of our own, and it's better because when it comes to what you mentioned, that other people are growing maize and they're trying to sell to dairy farmers, there's always a margin that the other person wants to make. But if a processor is the one who grows the maize, he can always make it up in the milk business. So there's more incentive if a processor is directly involved in the growing of fodder and silage, because that's when we can always balance off the upside in the milk profits with that. The third thing is regarding exports. I think people need to kind of realize about how milk is exported, right? So milk can either be exported in liquid form or in powder form. Liquid can only go to your immediate neighbor, right? And if you look at the immediate neighbors that we have of Kenya, they're not really drinking a lot of liquid milk. So effectively, if Kenya wants to have a meaningful export of milk, it has to be in the form of either cheese or in the form of powder. Now, these are the only two products which can then travel distances, whether we're talking of West Africa, Algeria, and so on. Now, when you go to these markets, it's very difficult to just trade it purely. So for example, if I'm a producer in Kenya and I produce a bag of powder, the customer in Congo has options of buying from New Zealand and from Kenya. Why will he buy the Kenyan one, right? And so effectively what tends to happen is you start getting an African discount, right? And that further puts pressure on the cost that you need to get to sell in those markets. Now, generally what happens with companies such that have done it successfully globally is that not only do they have production in Kenya, but they go and set up distribution in these markets. That's what we've done as LATO. So all these 15 countries we sell to, not only do we just dump the products there, but we also go and build a brand there and invest in marketing so that you link the farmer to the end consumer. If the minute you have intermediaries in the channel, you will not be competitive. It's more like the fuel business, where the petrol stations they own the petrol station and they also own the oil that they're producing. So the issue of if Kenya wants to become an exporter of powder, then it has to fix cost of production. They've discussed here numbers of we are at 760 and Uganda is at 500 and something, and globally. So globally, the price of powder has averaged $4,000 a ton. So for us to even get to, right now it's at $2,500 because of the oversupply, but 10-year average is $4,000 a ton. So if we look at $4,000 a ton, we would need prices in the range between of 30 and 40 shillings for you to even do a powder business. And if you want to get to that price point, you need to remove intermediaries for the farmer. Because the minute we have so many suppliers supplying the farmer, then the cost will always go up. And the only way you can do that is that if the farmer starts doing majority of the inputs on farm. Now, globally, there are 3 or 4 countries which control more than 60% of global exports. These are Ireland, New Zealand, and basically what they have is that 90% of the farming is pasture-based. So if we promote our farmers to go more intensive, we are going to breach that 35 shilling cost of production. We need to teach our farmers to go less intensive. That's what's happening in Uganda. They don't have any supplementary feed. There is no concentrate. There is no animal feed. They only feed the cow what's available in the shamba. So effectively, if we want the dairy sector to grow, the growth has to be sustainable. If we're going to grow it at paying 50 shillings and buying external fodder and external concentrates, it's not sustainable. The other issue which we've had in the market, Your Excellency, is that malnutrition is a big issue in the region. 30% of our children are stunted. Milk is the solution. They're saying the population of East Africa is going to double in the next 10 years. 30% of that children, if they're going to be stunted, what are we growing? What are we bringing into this, to this world? And milk is the solution for it. So milk consumption is important that we encourage milk consumption. But the challenge we're facing right now is that as we increase the price, like with the minimum pricing of milk going up, most of the processors' sales have gone down in the past 2 years. So increasing the price to support the farmer is not sustainable because the consumer, on the other hand, who are 50 million versus the 5 million, are now reducing milk, and then malnutrition is going up. So at the end of the day, everything comes back down to productivity and the cost of the farm. Now, so I think we've spoken a lot of things here. If we want effects from the milk, it has to go, the milk price has to start coming down, and the farmer's cost has to start coming down. And then you need to get into the powder business. If we want to, we still have a very big domestic market, but for that, we need the price of milk actually for consumers to start going down. And then we've got certain products like, fermented products, mala and yogurts and flavored milk. I sell both in Uganda and Kenya. Statistically, Uganda now drinks more flavored milk than Kenya, which would shock all of you, but it does, right? And the simple reason is Uganda doesn't have any VAT on flavored milk, which is good for the nutrition of the children. In Kenya, we've got the VAT, which is 16%. So a mother will basically say, I'd rather just give chai, which I have to just mix the ingredients at home myself, than give flavored milk to my kid, because it becomes only a product for the rich, not for the bottom and the middle class. So this is just a few comments, Your Excellency, and we are here to support your processes. We believe that the East African community, because we work in East Africa, that we can feed the whole of Africa. There's around $5 billion of imports of dairy in Africa, 5 billion. If you look at the cows that we've got between Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda, and we combine the strength of these 3 countries, and we start working on the cost of production, we can actually take over more than $2 billion of imports that the African continent has. Algeria does 1.2 billion alone of imports. But again, they have the option of importing from New Zealand and from Europe. So we would always need to be at the same price. And it will all work, and I fully agree with you. It all starts with how we as processors and government start at the farm. And if we can get the cost at the farm right, we can then conquer the continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you allow me to ask you one or two?
Please.
So, of course, you know where we are. 84% of Kenya is arid and semi-arid. So pasture is a challenge, so we have the only, and that's why we are having a conversation about feed. because it's the only option that's available to us. So the reality is we do not have as much pasture as Uganda, because our area of operation is limited. What you have said, which I thought was useful, is how do processors make it their business also to bulk feed, to supply to the dairy farmers. Is that a consideration? I think processors should be able to exercise their minds. They have much more latitude. They have much more access to capital than individual farmers. The farmer of 1 acre, 2 cows, 3 cows, doesn't have the kind of muscle that you can master. The same way we are investing in milk cool chain facility. Is it possible for processors to consider also investing in the food chain, the feed, so that we are all trying to assist the farmer to remove the middle guys, because he's buying one set of feed from one person who is making a margin, another person is making a margin, another guy is making a margin, and sometimes he's not even buying from the producer himself, he's buying from a middleman, and that's how he ends up with the short end of the stick. Is it the case that even processors can also consider how they can work with farmers? I think the same thing Kenneth was saying, that in Meru, they are thinking of running a feed mill to see how they can support their farmers. Is that something
it actually works globally that way in many countries, and we would be doing the same in Kenya as we're ramping up our collection centers. So the coolers that you're giving us, they normally come, you need to build a building around it. And the idea now is that how do you convert the coolers to become shops so that it is a two-way traffic rather than just one-way traffic. And so effectively the coolers then would have feed and inputs that then the farmers can batter against the milk, and then processors would then take the responsibility for providing those inputs at a lower price. That's what works globally, and that's what we would suggest we implement in Kenya as well. As we get the coolers from government, we manage and provide feed and other items at cost, sometimes even with a subsidy. Because at the end of the day, if you know that you're going to make back the money on the volume, then subsidies are not a challenge for business people.
I think that should have been an occasion for the processors to stand again, to agree that they will they will support the farmers with the feed, And I think we can then facilitate and make sure that the milk coolers we are setting up with the support of the county governments, we also improve the facilities around it so that you can also get feed from this facility, maybe even get some acaricides and some of the vaccines, and make the whole ecosystem work for the farmer, because ultimately it's important. Sindio? Okay, I think we are running short of time. Can we have a lady processor to say something? Natakamani,
Thank you, Amit. Your Excellency, we have Emma Karue from Aspendo's milk processor. So.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency, governors, CS and PS. Good afternoon. My name is Emma Karue from Aspendo's Dairy, and I'm here to present some interventions on behalf of the dairy sector, which can stimulate the industry. First of all, thank you very much for these wonderful sessions and for including processors. We want to confirm to you that we are committed to ensure that the dairy sector is going to be one of the leading economic drivers for our people, to make sure that we have solutions for our own people. The first thing that we wanted us to discuss is about taxation. We've discussed in length about the cost to the farmers, but I also feel that we need to look at why is milk consumption in Kenya going down. We can produce a lot of milk. Kenya at the moment is the leading consumer of milk in East Africa. We find milk from Uganda is coming to Kenya. Everybody's trying to come to Kenya. But our consumption, per capita consumption in Kenya has gone down by 30%. So our proposal is we consider looking at fiscal measures that can reduce the consumption, the cost of production for the processor. The first one is taxation on packaging materials. It's very expensive. Can we look at reducing the tax on packaging materials? Can we consider that? Can we consider the taxation that we have when we are bringing equipment from outside the country? At the moment, all the equipment from the dairy sector have to come from outside the country. We find the tax regimes very expensive, and we can consider zero-rating that. The second one, we've discussed at length about the El Nino that's coming up and how we can assimilate the milk. Our proposal is the establishment of a dairy fund that would be able to cushion our dairy farmers. Yes, we are willing to take the milk, but for now, the consumption per consumer is very low. So as my colleague, Mr. Gitonga, commented to you, we may take the milk and we are not able to sell the milk out. Are we able to convert that milk into milk powder? And is that milk available to private processors for us to be able to do that? That may be done by the local processors. At the moment, we only have 2 who have the capacity for milk powder. We can look at that in terms of El Nino because it's a short-term thing that we need to look at quickly. The second thing, we want to thank you, Your Excellency, for including the private sector on the allocation of coolers. This is the first time. It's never happened before. So we want to commit to you as private sector that the coolers that are allocated to the private sector, we are going to ensure that they make the lives of our farmers easier so that farmers do not need to wake up at night, late at night, to take their milk to the collection sector. So that's a big plus, and we want to thank you for that. On the consolidation fund, commodity fund that you've told us about, we want to reassure you once again that we are going to ensure that we get the money from you and we pay it back. So thank you very much. And what that is going to do is going to assist us to purchase milk products and make sure that we can store that and sell it at a later date. We also want to thank you for the measures that you've put in place to protect our industry. The truth is, I don't know that the processors have said that, our milk is very expensive. We cannot compete with Uganda. We cannot compete with milk coming from outside the country. We start at an unfair level playing ground. Uganda will purchase milk at 25 shillings. We are purchasing milk in Muranga for 50 shillings at the moment. So once we purchase that and process it and take it to the market, we are not able to effectively control that. So we believe that with the measures that you're putting in place, especially on animal feeds, if the cost of production can go down for the farmer and the cost of production goes down for the processors, then that is the recipe that is going to stimulate the dairy sector. So we thank you for that. Now, the second thing that we wanted to talk about is export market. We thank you so much because one of the biggest issues that Kenya is not able to export our milk is phytosanitary measures. The coolers are going to increase the quality of our milk because the bacterial load of our milk is going to go down. So with that coming up, we are looking at maybe in about a year or 2, we should be able to export our milk outside. Now we have non-tariff barriers that sometimes are imposed by other countries, and we find that we have milk, but we are not able to export it outside the country. On top of that, if we can reduce the cost to below the ground, to below the global market, then we should be able to sell our milk outside the country. So we are also requesting for an establishment of a dairy fund and a 1.5 billion through the Kenya Daily Board to be able to assist in mopping up of the milk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So can we have a summary of this? Thank you very much, Madam Karwe. I think we need a summary of this in the interest of time. And maybe I could help try and come up with a summary. Okay, you can relax. So I think this is a very good conversation. I know we haven't quite taken this conversation to an outcome. We have brought all the ideas together. And having this conversation confirms to me that we have all the knowledge and expertise that can help us sort out the challenges we have in this industry so that we can achieve our intention as a country of using the dairy sector to drive our economy, create jobs, increase incomes, and also enhance our revenue. What I'm thinking is we therefore need a final meeting. David, I think you need to facilitate with the minister a final meeting on what is it that government will do and what is it that processors will do. The aim being we reduce the cost of production. We support the farmers to reduce the cost of production so that they can make a better margin, but also open up opportunities for us to get more value from our milk by making sure that we have good quality milk that then can go into products that are added value, that gives us more revenue to both the processors and to the country, and also give us the opportunity to tap into the $2 billion market, the good gentleman said there, of exports that come into our continent. If we have to access, and we should, because if we are the highest producer of milk in the continent, we should claim the biggest share of the continental market. So how do we achieve that with our current setup? We are not a very cheap producing country, but we can compensate that by making our milk to be high quality. Yeah, we can compensate that. If we make it to be high quality, then we can make high quality products, and we can make more high value added products, and then we can access the bigger continental market. So we need a balance of where we are and where we need to go. So can I then ask Waziri that you provide the leadership for us to put this together? Maybe I can give you a week, 2 weeks to sit down with these processors, because I want a 10-point implementation plan, itemized and with timelines of what do we do by when, what do we do by when, and which other stakeholders do we bring on board. So in 2 weeks' time, Comptroller, you put it in my diary, in 2 weeks' time, we have a meeting to report on the meetings that will now be held, so that we know what incentives does government need to put in place for local production of packaging material. What tax incentives do we need to put in place to remove some of the bottlenecks that are in the industry? Even as we wait for the local production, are there tax issues? I remember we removed tax on packaging material for tea. We could consider the same for milk, if it helps. If it helps to increase the margin, especially for farmers. You know, those are my biggest employers, so I have to. And they are not sitting here. I am their representative here. So if that is a space, and then I need my team to find out what does that mean in terms of the ultimate price we are paying. And many of the other issues that you have said, how do we bring you, the processors, to assist us in bringing down the cost of feed? How do you engage in bulking feed? And how do we use the incentives that we have put, including removing duty on yellow maize? How do we make sure that the benefit ultimately goes to the producers? It doesn't end with the feed manufacturers somewhere in the middle. So I think these are issues, and I am willing to invest. This is a big sector. I am willing to invest public resources if it ultimately gives us a competitive sector that not only increases our incomes as a nation, but also promotes our exports and gives opportunity for many young people to work in this industry and the whole value chain around dairy. Can we leave it there? So 2 weeks, we come back and have a final meeting, sign off, and see who does what. I personally I will do my part. And I have it on the authority of everybody here that they will do theirs. Sindio? Asanteni sana.